Good morning and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment hearing for Rural Panel 3. We are a City of Ottawa quasi-judicial tribunal that holds public hearings to consider planning applications, including minor variances to the zoning requirements and consent to sever land. Our hearings are now in person at Ben Franklin Place, 101 Centerpoint Drive. We also enable remote participation by video conferencing for our registered speakers. We are live streaming on YouTube and the video will be archived and available for future viewing by the public. My name is Martin Vervoort. I'll be chairing today's hearings and you can address me by my name or as chair. With me are my fellow panel members, to my immediate right, Beth Henderson, and to my far right, Terrence Otto. The procedure for the hearings will be as follows. Listed on the agenda and appearing on the screen from time to time are the applications we'll hear today. For the sake of efficiency, I may deal with agenda items in a different order. Panel members have reviewed the planning reports and any written submissions in support or in opposition to each of the applications. Today, we'll hear any oral submissions that we require relating to the applications. As part of the statutory public notification requirements, each applicant was required to post a sign on the property in question before the hearing. They also had to confirm in writing that they did so, or they'll need to swear or affirm an oath today and that they fulfilled the sign posting requirements. Otherwise, we may have to adjourn or postpone the hearing. I believe that we have confirmation that written confirmation that all the signs have been posted. Is that correct? Thank you. The panel may ask for a brief presentation of an application followed by questions for the applicant and city planning staff. We will then hear from members of the public who have registered to speak, and we may also have questions for them. Finally, the applicant who has the burden of proof will have an opportunity to make final comments in reply. Please address your comments to me as the chair, starting with your name and spelling if it is necessary, and your municipal address for the record. All presentations are limited to 5 minutes. Any exceptions will be at my discretion. At the end of the hearing, the panel may either make an oral decision or we may reserve our decision, which means it won't be delivered today. In either case, and within 10 days, the Committee of Adjustment will send the official written decision and reasons for it to all the parties, participants, and anyone else who has requested a copy of the decision. Does anyone have any questions about the procedure we will be following today? Yes, sir.
Yes, you said that there's a confirmation that they posted all the variants.
That the signs have been posted.
Yes, and he confirmed with you. And posted it says 10 days. And if they, and there's no obstruction, if they have confirmed or they have swear that they posted the sign, did they talk about any obstruction or did they put a picture of the posting or where is the posting?
I'll direct that to staff as far as confirmation of the posting.
Mr. Chair, typically, in addition to the declaration, we would receive a photo. We can confirm that that's the case. If the gentleman could provide perhaps the address of the property.
995. Number 7.
Okay, just one moment. Mr. Chair, we have received a photo of the sign posting as well as the declaration. We can share that photo. It's not immediately clear where on the property the sign is posted. Is it possible to put that on the screen?
Okay, I think for now, it seems that there is evidence that the sign was posted and we have a declaration and a photograph. In the event that this is an issue, we can deal with it when we get to that agenda item, if there's a concern about the sign posting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, then we have several applications to hear today, but first we'll need to deal with some preliminary and procedural matters. Do the members of the panel have any declarations of interest? No. So none on this agenda or any of the agendas of the other two panels. Thank you. We also have to confirm the minutes of our previous meeting of July the 4th. Are there any objections or changes to the minutes?
No.
So all those in favor of approving the minutes of July the 4th?
Yeah.
The minutes are approved. We also have to approve the minutes of July the 18th. Any changes or objections to the minutes? So I'd ask for approval of those minutes as well. Thank you. Next, we'll deal with any adjournment requests. Next, we'll deal with any adjournment requests. I believe that there is an adjournment request from the planning department with respect to agenda item number 3. Sorry, item number 2. Can you speak to that, Mr. Grimm?
That'll be Mr. Teef speaking to that file.
Oh, okay. Mr. Teef?
Hi, am I coming in okay?
Yes.
Great. So this is just another adjournment based on the official plan policies for rural severances. So there's no other concerns with the application apart from that.
Okay. My understanding was that those technical corrections to the official plan were to be completed by this summer. Do we have a status update on that?
There is a omnibus going forward. I believe it's being heard within the next month or two, but soon, hopefully.
Okay, thank you. Members of the committee, do we want to proceed to hear the matter on the understanding that the official plan will be corrected as far as the technical change it's required?
Yes.
Okay, so I think in keeping with our past practice, we'll go ahead and we'll hear that application. Assuming that the official plan correction will be made. So thank you. So now we'll go through the applications in the order that they appear on the agenda. The first application is an application by Maple Ridge Farms, North Gore, Inc. concerning the property at 5812 Malakoff Road. And this is an application for consent for a surplus farm dwelling. I believe the applicant's representative is Mr. Shipman, if he's available.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning, Mr. Shipman. I understand this is a fairly straightforward application regarding a surplus farm dwelling. Is that correct?
It is.
And do you have any comments, specific comments on the proposed conditions from planning?
Only one, Mr. Chair, condition number 4 relating to proof with regards to agreement of purchase and sale. That is an unnecessary condition. The applicant is indeed the owner of the land, as was demonstrated with the parcel abstract submitted with the application. So Maple Leaf Farms owns the land.
Okay, and then is it planned then on selling the farmhouse, the surplus farm dwelling?
Correct. That's the plan.
Thank you. Perhaps we'll hear from, do members of the panel have any questions of the applicant on this?
No.
Okay, maybe we'll hear from Mr. Graham then from planning.
Thank you, Chair. In regards to condition 4, we either need proof of purchase of sale or confirmation that the lands are owned by a bona fide farmer. So one of those could be provided to satisfy that condition.
Okay. Mr. Shipman, do we want to reword the condition then, or?
Mr. Chair, the required parcel abstract demonstrating that the applicant farmer is indeed the owner is part of our initial submission. I could provide that again to Mr. Teef, but that is indeed the case.
Yeah, Okay, so maybe we could just change condition 4 then, that the applicant confirm that the existing lands are owned by a farm corporation. Just to keep it simple.
That would be fine.
Okay, would that satisfy your concerns, Mr. Graham?
Yes, that would satisfy our requirements.
Okay. Any questions from members of the panel? Okay, then, subject to that change with respect to condition 4, members prepared to vote on this matter?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say all those in favor of the application? So the application is approved. Thank you, Mr. Shipman.
Thank you.
The next application concerns the property, an application by Ivan and Jocelyn Garland concerning the property at 3363 Devine Road. And I believe the representative is Mr. Landry. Is that correct?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman, Madam Henderson, Monsieur Otto, and city staff. So the application.
Oh, sorry, just before we begin,
Sure.
could you just state your full name and address, please?
My full name is Luke Landry.
Yes, and your address?
My address 1919 Forest Road in Bars.
Okay, and you confirm you're the authorized agent for the owners of the property, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I believe that this just involves a consent application to create a new lot. I don't believe that planning had concerns with this other than the technical changes that have to be made to the official plan. Did members of, I don't think we need a presentation, but did members of the committee have any questions for the applicant?
No.
And Mr. Landry, I noticed that planning was asking for 7 or 5 conditions plus the 2 standard committee of adjustment conditions. Did you have any comments on the conditions that are proposed?
Yes, please. The farm has been in the family for over 100 years and it's still being farmed. And the family has no intention of selling the retaining lot, which is 33 hectares. Under the condition 4, the city may ask for a well and hydro-G report on the retainer and the severed lot. We have no problem working with staff and providing the report as it relates to the severed lot. So we're asking the committee and staff to remove the word retain and just put the word severed in that condition. Having a well on the retained lot would be redundant and it would be unnecessary. And also, if we have a well and it continues to be farmed, well, it's just another obstacle that you have to navigate. So that's a rationale. And the size of the property, it's difficult to select the right location of the well for something in the future that we don't expect that will happen. The intent is to keep it vacant and continue. It's being farmed, although it's RU. So all we're asking is in paragraph 4, where it says retain, we want the word severed in the paragraph and also the 4A severed.
Okay, thank you. We'll ask for a response from Mr. Teef from planning.
Thank you, Chair. So our reasoning for asking for a hydro-G for the retained parcel is because it is designated as rural countryside zoned RU, so you could build a house on that, and we would just want to ensure that that would be possible in the future. If you would like to keep it vacant, you could pursue a rezoning to prohibit residential, like we usually do for agriculture resource area severances. But that's up to you, I suppose.
But my understanding is that they don't necessarily have to drill a well on the retained parcel as long as they can confirm through a hydro-G report based on surrounding wells or the well on the severed property, that there's an adequate water supply on the retained lands. Is that correct?
That is right. In this specific area of Ottawa, though, it is an area of known poor groundwater quality. So it's not necessarily guaranteed that a well that isn't on the retained parcel would be able to provide an accurate reading of the groundwater quality. So that's why we asked for that in the condition.
Okay, so it's possible that if the hydro-G report is clear enough, the applicant might not have to drill a well, but it's not a given.
I believe so, yes.
Yes, we understand that portion, that the severed lot, the son will be building a house and will provide, but the city may want more and more because in the last number of years, they're asking more reports. So we're just trying to say, let's be reasonable that on the retained lot, being the size it is, the difficulty is where do we place a well on 33 hectares? You understand, it fronts to road. So we build a well, and let's say in 10 years, somebody decides they want to build. Well, we have a well, and now he wants to build a house 1,500 feet further down the road. So that's our rationale, and we want the committee to support the removal of the retained towards severed.
Okay. Members of the committee, comments, questions? Thoughts?
Yes, I agree with the applicant to some extent. I can see the difficulty in trying to pick a spot to drill a well. I think they could probably work through this with planning and a hydro-G study using their existing well, which should eliminate the need to drill a well. And also a word of advice is to try and make sure that they don't put a 3 centimeter or 20 centimeter strip along the road until you do drill a well, because that's one of the conditions sometimes that they put in. But I think you can work through it with your existing well that's there and avoid that situation.
So would the members of the committee then be in favor of leaving the condition as is in case it can't be? Or would the members like to reserve on this and discuss that particular condition?
I would prefer to reserve.
Reserve? Okay. Any other comments or questions or concerns with the application?
You have no further.
Any other comments regarding the conditions?
No, but I did not hear what Madame Anderson, what was your comment?
My comment was to reserve decision.
Uh,
So we'll discuss after the application, after the meeting, we'll discuss your specific request for the condition.
on that condition.
Yeah.
Correct.
But as a whole, the rest of the file, it meets the criteria and they.
I believe so.
Yes.
It's only the specific condition.
One word,
Yeah.
yes, the change of one word, we keep the same clause, the change of one word is our request.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from planning besides
Thank you.
that, Mr. Chief?
I was just going to mention that we would be able to accept a hydro-G study for both lots, just using the severed parcel, assuming that everything comes back okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so the lot that he will build a house, if it comes back favorable, that they would not ask for additional well on the retainer. Is that clear? Is that my understanding?
I'll let Mr. Teef answer that.
That's correct.
Thank you, staff. Thank you, committee. Merci.
So just to go back, Mr. Landry, so in view of what planning has said, are you prepared to move forward then with the condition as worded?
No, I would prefer some language that would state that, because as we know, if we don't have it in writing, it could be 6-9 months from today, and members change, patterns change, and now we have a document that's clear that if this happens, this outcome, this happened, that's the outcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just to go back to Mr. Teeth then, because I'd like to wrap this up, if we can. Is there a way we can reword this condition? So it indicates that if the hydro G study for the severed lot indicates that there is adequate water on the retained land, then the drilling of a well won't be required.
I think that, yeah, and be retained if necessary, perhaps, yeah.
So we could add the words if necessary.
Yes,
And then I think that would.
that would
resolve-
satisfy us. Thank you very much. And that would make it easy. Thank you, Luke.
All right. Members of the committee satisfied with that as well?
Yes.
So I think we should, maybe we can proceed to vote on this then. I would move then that the application be approved, subject to the clarification in condition number 4, that the well will only be required on the retained lands if necessary. Approved?
Thank you.
Thank you. Move on to agenda item number 3, which is an application for a lot line adjustment by Sunshine Sky Farms, Inc. concerning the property at 8601 Purdy Road. I believe Mr. Shipman is also the agent for the applicant on this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I am.
So I think the committee understands it's a simple lot line adjustment to enlarge the existing parcel at 8611 Purdy Road. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair. There was a comment in the discussion rationale, I believe, that has since been resolved.
Okay, is that regarding the footprint of the 4 storage buildings that was commented on by the planning department?
Correct. I provided that footprint to Mr. Teeth the other day, and I believe he's satisfied in respect to that concern.
Okay, and then with respect to the proposed conditions, any concerns with those, Mr. Shipman? I believe they're just the standard lot line adjustment conditions.
Agreed.
Okay. Questions from the applicant? No? So we'll just go to planning and Mr. Teeth, you just want to confirm that you've got those calculations and there's no concerns with the size of the outbuildings, the storage buildings?
That is correct, Mr. Chair. We're satisfied with the footprints provided.
Okay. Any questions of planning? No question. Are the members prepared to approve this application subject to the conditions? So all those in favor? So the application is approved. Thank you, Mr. Shipman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The next item is agenda item number 4, which is an application by Ernestine Turcott concerning the property at 1640 Bearhill Road. And I believe Christine Dewar is appearing as agent for the owner. Is that correct? So could you just state your name and address for the record, please? Thank you. And I understand again that this is a fairly straightforward lot line adjustment just to enlarge an existing property. And I don't believe there are any concerns from planning on this other than their proposed conditions. Have you had a chance to review the proposed conditions, Ms. Dewar?
There we go. That's better, right? We do have a question with respect to condition number 1, the agreement regarding the groundwater quantity and quality. I understand that it's saying it would be registered as a development agreement. And I have seen these in the past without having a look at it now. My concern is well, our concern is that it's more, my question is, would we be able to satisfy this condition by registering it as a restrictive covenant on the title with just that paragraph? To notify, if the intention is to notify future owners that this may be an issue, I think a restrictive covenant would satisfy that, and just a restrictive covenant on title with that clause in this paragraph. So would the committee be amenable to changing it from an agreement to a restrictive covenant?
The committee will defer to Mr. Graham on that, and he can advise what planning's position is with respect to that requested condition.
Thank you, Chair. The condition as worded states that the owner enter into an agreement which provides the following covenant or notice that runs on with the land. So I think the condition as stated is what our legal department has requested and what we would prefer.
Okay, I just don't understand. If maybe if I could get an explanation, doesn't have to be right now, but would the legal department provide us with an explanation and perhaps even a draft of the agreement then? Before, you know, the period lapses, or can we postpone this or whatever till we can see it?
Well, I think there's a 2-year period now for fulfilling conditions, so I'm sure you would hear back from legal way in advance of that. And I think this is a fairly standard condition that's imposed, so these are put
It
on.
is. The concern is that once you see the agreement, when it comes to the lawyer that's registering it, there's more to it than just this clause. So we would just like to see what it is we're agreeing to before we agree to it. That's all.
Mhm. Well, this is sort of a chicken and egg thing, I guess.
Right. Right. So I as long as, if that can be, would it be possible to get a copy of what, you know, a rough idea of what the agreement would look like in the near future?
Well, I think what we have to do is we have to decide, the committee has to decide this application today based on the information before it. So we can adjourn it if you want to do that, and then have an opportunity to see what the agreement would look like and come back. That's an option you have.
What's the time frame if we adjourned?
I'll defer to staff on that.
Mr. Chair, the next meeting of the committee would be September 5th.
Okay.
And we could be present at that. And would I be able to get a copy of that within that time?
Yes, we could provide an example agreement before that hearing, certainly.
That's fine then.
So would you prefer then to?
Yes, if
adjourn?
we could adjourn until we can see what it is we're agreeing to, that would be great.
Members of the committee are fine with adjourning to the 5th of September? I just have a question. You want to put on your mic, please?
Yeah, I guess this is for planning or for the applicant. Are there currently houses on both these properties? I believe there are.
Yes,
And if so, why do we need a water condition period? If
exactly.
they're already there and they already have wells drilled.
Mr. Chair, this condition was requested by our engineering department, and they've identified this area as having potentially poor groundwater quality. When development applications come through, the city sometimes requests these conditions to ensure that future owners are aware of the conditions of the site.
That was my understanding as well, and that's why I'm suggesting to put it on as a restrictive covenant rather than an agreement. Because if the purpose of this is to notify future owners, then let's call it, do it as it is, and it should be a restrictive covenant then, rather than an agreement. Two different things.
Well, it sounds like the applicant isn't objecting to it, but maybe the thing to do is just adjourn it till the next hearing, and then that'll give you an opportunity to see what the city has in mind, and then we can proceed from there.
Mhm.
Does
Sure.
that make
Yes,
sense?
yes.
Are the members of the panel then in agreement that we'll adjourn this matter to the hearing of September 5th? So we'll see you then. Thank you. The next matter is agenda item number 5, which is a application for a minor variance by Kimberly Hazen and Scott Dopkin concerning the property at 119 McConnell Lane. I believe Ms. Hazen is participating remotely.
There we go. Good morning, Mr. Chair, and members of panel.
Good morning, Ms. Hazen. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. As we've already identified, Kimberly Hazen, 119 McConnell Lane in Constance Bay. I did provide the panel with a presentation. I'm wondering if you can reference that or whether the coordinator will share the screen. There we are. So on the left of your screen, you'll see 119 McConnell Lane. It is approximately a block from the water. All residents on this row face east. We are a new build, actually just achieving our final occupancy permit 2 weeks ago. Prior to us, the lot that we're currently discussing was just a property. It was a vacant lot. Ours is the deepest build on the block, approximately 30 feet further back than 121 McConnell Lane and 15 feet back from the property to the south of us. The reason for that is because the garage was always in the plan, and so the house was pushed back due to setbacks to make a small backyard, but allowance the front yard for the garage. We are requesting a height variance of 73 centimeters to move from 4.5 meters, which is the current setback to current bylaw, to 5.28 meters and a setback variance of 3.46. And I have some imagery that will help the committee understand the reason for this further on. To the south of us, of 119 McConnell Lane, so there is some discussion about blockage of views. There's a somewhat dilapidated corner store with surface parking and an LCBO. So the majority of the views are to the east, although during the summertime with the foliage, we cannot see the river. During the winter time, all houses can see the river. The house in the middle of your graphic has had some minor changes. It was initially proposed to be somewhat passive solar facing south, but due to the setback, its frontage is fully facing McConnell Lane. And the door on the lower right hand of the house, the window in your image is now the front door because it was felt not sustainable to have the doorway where it was initially planned. The garage in the lower right has been custom designed to match the house and the community to complement the house, which is estimated at $650,000, and the garage to increase that value by 15%, so roughly $100,000. Next slide, please. So just to give you a brief timeline, we purchased the property in 2021 and negotiated with the next door neighbor about the removal of a shed at that time. Due to COVID, my husband and I were not able to see the property and design the property buildings without walking the property. Our real estate agent was able to do that for us. While we were, during that time period, the house next door changed hands and the shed was rebuilt. Our house was completed on site in December 2022. And during recent discussions with the grading and excavating professionals, there was some concerns raised with regard to the proximity of the garage to the house, and as well as the neighboring shed, which we'll speak to in a bit. In June, I put in a request for a minor variance. Slide. So while in your package you have the full survey, this will provide you with some detail. Please, the labels that I've put on the screen are not to scale, so don't perceive that they are. Our footprint of our property is 9,105 square feet. Our house is 1,184 square feet. The garage footprint on the ground is 546 square feet. So the relative proportionality is kind of skewed on the presentation. We are therefore under the 20% allowable on the lot.
Yeah, the committee understands there's only the 2 variances required.
Okay, reference the neighbor shed. We only highlighted this in our letter to bring it to the committee's attention that this was something beyond our control and happened while we were already designing the garage and the house plan, or we would have requested the setback earlier in the time frame. Next slide, please. I provide this slide to give you a visual presentation of the setbacks currently there. From the hydro pole, which is in the center of the trailer labeled, to the road is 27 feet. And the setback requested is from the hydro pole 17 feet back. So you're roughly 45 feet from the edge of the asphalt with the setback request that we're currently making.
Okay.
The graphic in the lower right of the house shows the existing home, and you'll note that the upper floor of the existing home is the level of all the other homes in the area. That is the bungalow level where we've got a walkout basement that's different than most homes in the area. And I'll just note on that same image at the back of the garage, back of the trailer, you'll note our neighbor at 121 McConnell Lane, approximately 30 feet forward from our house. I believe that's everything on that photo that I wanted to speak to. Next slide, please. So on the north side of the top of the image, you'll see the gradual slope and the terracing walls that we plan to build. Vice on the initial plan for the garage, the permitted plan, has a very steep wall. So we're requesting to do some terracing. As such, we will agree to move the garage a meter further into our property, which will block much of our view out, but we're willing to do that because of some of the for risk management on the site. All of the utilities and all other building on the site have been to complement the garage. The garage's roof line that's proposed will still be a story below all of the other buildings in the area due to the elevations. Next slide, please. Again, a perspective slide. These are just makeshift stairs that we have made, but it shows the start state of where the proposed starting of the new garage would be. And you can see that there would actually be less digging required because we wouldn't have to dig so far into the hill to build the garage. It would also, on the diagram that were provided of the garage, that front entrance door will walk out and across a courtyard over to the garage. So there is some safety factors there as well. Slide, please. So this slide shows the berm or hillside in discussion as outlined in some of the diagram information that we provided. This berm is on our property and we will bring this down somewhat. The current plan is to go 10 feet from the property line. However, you'll see that the berm is quite steep at that point. The proposed plan to bring it forward with a slight variance would allow us not to have to dig into the hillside quite so much. Overall, we believe this would achieve more of a natural look for the community and is more consistent with other areas of constant space, such as Crown Point Road, which are building 3.5 meters from the road. The garage has been part of the site plan as stated already from the beginning, and so this is nothing new.
Okay, thank you.
And just to speak to, I know the committee received 2 comment letters. I believe some of the imagery that I provided alleviated some of the concerns with regard to causing safety concerns while walking or snow removal, or impacting any views, or certainly not devaluing any of the properties in the area. Our neighbor to the north side of our house, 121 McConnell Lane, has expressed views with regard to the location of the shed. That's not to debate it. That's just, it is a fact, and there's been no concern with that. We're actually trying to do some risk mitigation to help her out with the confusion that has happened there. Certainly with regard to her concerns with her septic, we will abide by any setback rulings and be considerate of that. The experts have assessed whether or not there'd be any damage. And with moving the garage forward, it actually creates less digging, not more digging, to speak to some of her concerns. Final slide, please. So as a former town councilor, I understand that communities want development, but nobody wants it in their neighborhood. They don't want it in their backyard. We are a new build on a vacant lot. Change has been uncomfortable for our neighbors, and we have done everything to ensure their safety and to enhance the integrity and enhance the community as well. We've custom made this garage and tried to nest it into the community so it fits well. Our requests are minor in variance. It all fits with the developmental plan for Constance Bay. It meets the general purpose and intent of the bylaws. And it also meets the general intent and has been pre-socialized with your planning staff prior to the presentation. That concludes my my presentation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Members of the committee have any questions? Comment, Mr. Teeth from planning?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have no concerns with this application. We believe it meets the 4 tests. We had a little bit of concern with the slope initially, but our engineering team is satisfied that all of their mitigation measures should do the trick.
Okay. I noticed there are engineering reports as well submitted by the applicant, which seem to address those slope concerns. Any questions of planning from members of the committee?
No.
Are we prepared to deal with the application? Okay. I would ask then for approval of the application. All in favor? So the application is approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members of the panel.
The next item is item number 6, which is an application by Antonio Falbo and Maria Falbo concerning the property at 2722 Diamondview Road with respect to a request for validation of title.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. My name is Krista Libman, Libman, address Suite 700, 427 Laurier Avenue West, and I am the authorized agent. My clients are here in the audience.
Okay, thank you. And I think this is fairly straightforward. I don't believe planning has any concerns with respect to this application. And it's just a concern as to whether or not the previous severance, I guess, or whether or not there is compliance with the Planning Act due to a river bisecting the property.
That's correct.
Okay. Do members of the committee have any questions of the applicant? And I believe Mr. Graham, city staff is fine with this as well.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we've had some back and forth with the applicant and with our internal legal staff, and after reviewing submitted materials and reviewing it with our legal team, we have no further concerns with the application.
Okay. So in that case, I believe it's an uncontested matter. So I would ask for approval of the application. All those in favor? The application is approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The next item is agenda item number 7 concerning the property at 995 Rotary Way, which is an application by Zainab Fenich for a minor variance with respect to the construction of a shed or an accessory structure in the rear yard. So I believe the agent for the application, for the applicant, sorry, is Kamal Faz. if they're available.
Mr. Chair, it appears that the agent may not be online.
Okay, we'll stand the matter down then and move to, I'm not sure if we can have somebody try and contact them.
Apologies, Mr. Chair. I'm told he may be online now.
Oh, okay, thank you. I see a Mohammed Salame.
Yes, hello. Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. This is
Could you,
Mohammed.
could you just state your name and address
Yes,
for the
yes,
record,
yes.
please?
Mohammed Salame. I'm the professional engineer and my address is 60 Grand Avenue North, Cambridge, Ontario.
Okay. And you're the authorized agent for the owner in this matter?
Yes, I am the authorized agent and I'm the engineer in charge for the shed construction and city applications.
Okay. And my understanding is the only variance requested is a reduction from the normal requirement of 0.6 meters from a lot line to 0.26 meters from the lot line. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And actually, I received email from the city representative who is reviewing the application and he asked for some revisions. I have corrected the drawings and emailed it back to the city about 2 weeks ago. So we should be in good standing as we speak. The site plan drawing already corrected and showing all the as-built revisions and waiting for to hear from the city decisions to approve the minor variance application.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions? Questions? Mr. Teeft, I believe you're on this file as well. Do you have any comments with respect to the minor variance application?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So we had concerns with the proximity of the shed to the side lot. We had some concerns over the roof overhang, as it was shown on the original drawing, but the materials that the applicant has sent in since then addressed most of our concerns regarding that. Also with some structures that were encroaching into the city right of way. I believe there was some stairs and pillars in the wall, but those have since been removed. So we're satisfied with all of that.
Okay. I just want to confirm with the applicant too. So we just want to confirm the distance from the lot line. So it is 0.26 meters. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions? Is there anyone else who wants to speak to this? Would you like to come forward, sir? And could you state your name and address, please?
My name is Hussein Farhat and my address is 601 143 Mayview in Ottawa.
Okay, and
I have a concern about this application. This application is not actually a shed, it's a gazebo. And they do have a shed there, like the application is for this property. This is the property here,
okay, could
which
we?
is a gazebo. Not a shed. So they're applying to the city. This is another picture.
Well, this was uncompleted.
Yeah, this is at the beginning, very close, it's overhang. It was built. The owner put the holes and I did the top. And I asked him I did ask the owner to apply for a permit at that time. He never did.
Okay,
And behind this, I have a picture that took today that they have a shed also. In also, when I spoke to the building code, Miss Dominic, she told me that all the window in this gazebo supposedly has to be removed, which hasn't been removed. And I spoke to Bruce Wallace in the zoning department to bring this matter into variance. Okay, but I was disagreeing. I was supposed to take some windows out. Also in your application, because I have only 10 minutes, the sign must, like, I'm going all over. The sign must be posted within 2 meters of public street. He did send a picture of that, which is maybe 2 or 3 days ago. And that picture or that sign is obstructed by a tree. If you look at the picture, if you don't, you could send somebody to take a look at it, okay? On the property, they do have a shed. I did take a picture today with my phone. I did not have the time because stables open at 9 o'clock.
I'm not sure how we can accept that as evidence if we don't have a copy.
Yeah, because the copy, this is, see, they have a shed behind the gazebo. And this is the gazebo still has the windows.
Okay, you're gonna have to,
This is the shed.
you're gonna have to,
Shed behind the gazebo.
yeah.
In order to have a shed, they did not apply for that shed.
In order to properly consider that, we'd have to have you email that to the committee to form part of the record.
I was even trying to be a speaker yesterday. I was calling all day. And then I had to force myself to email, or yesterday to call the cave. And then today morning, I spoke to somebody. I was allowed 10 minutes. This application, even the engineer, I'm the one that hired him. I have here, I need to transfer for him. Now he speaks in behalf of the owner. Where is the owner? The owner is not even in the country. The property has been in sale. As soon as the variance gets approved, then the title will be changed. So that's why I'm opposing this, because in your which was a committee of adjustment issued by the city of Ottawa, it says that at least the sign would be posted at least 10 days. Wasn't addressed or posted within 10 days. Also, the sign must not be obstructed by trees. It is obstructed by trees. If you go send somebody there and take a look at it, or I email it, I send the pictures later in a different date. It is obstructed, okay? And the sign must be posted within 2 meters. If you look at the sign on the street, it's not within 2 meters. It's more than 2 meters away from the street. And this is not a shed, it's a gazebo. It has windows, there's people live there. Also, it has the seating, people goes there and smoke a pipe because they don't want to go in the basement, okay? And do heat, and this property has a shed. Also, the city laws allows for two structure in the backyard. He has more than 2 structures in the backyard. And this is a corner lot.
So, Mr. Farhad, the committee is here just to consider the minor variance request, not the building code matters or the other issues that may exist, although planning has indicated that these have been resolved. Do you have any comments on why this wouldn't meet the tests of the Planning Act and the minor variance requirements? What was the question? Do you have any specific comment on why this wouldn't meet the tests under the Planning Act?
Because
granting a
he
minor
said in
variance?
his application, he said it's within, you ask even again, within 0.06. It's not within 0.06. It's, if you look at the picture, it's very adjacent. The gazebo is very adjacent to the fence, to the walk-in fence. It's less than 0.06. This is wrong. Like, I have a picture here, it shows that it is the overhang over the public lane. It is not, is 0.06 means 2 feet. This is within 5 inches.
Well, they're asking for reduction to 0.26.
It's not 0.26. They're wrong because the law or the picture that submitted to the city was 1.2. Those were the picture where this is stamped because he was working for me, the engineer. And at that time, this is wrong. That's why Bruce Wallace, the zoning officer, asked me to apply for a minor variance, okay? Because it's not 1.2 and it's not 0.06 as they say right now in this committee. It's less than that. It's stuck to the fence. Because I told the owner, don't put the post there. You have to stay away from the fence 1.2. He went and put the post and put even the foundation. Even though the inspector has to ask me to dig have a picture of a guy, labor digging one of the posts to see if the foundation or the sonotube is under 5 feet under the ground.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
I think your time's up. I think we've heard all of your evidence. Do you have any other questions, members of the committee? Do you want to reserve on this or do you want to decide? Okay, so the committee will reserve its decision on this application. And if you require a copy, you can notify the committee and a copy will be mailed to you. Okay, thank you. The last item on the agenda, I believe, is an uncontested application regarding the property at 248 Old Quarry Road, which is an application by Jacob Eads and Casey Turner, which is a minor variance application. And we're looking for Mr. Eads, if he's available.
Mr. Chair. Hear me okay?
How are you?
Not bad, yourself?
Good, good. My understanding is that that all requirements have been met as far as any concerns with respect to the variance application. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah, this is a recirculation. So again, we did updated site and house plans to maintain the requested variances or requested setback from the conservation during the initial review. And then we provided additional documentation such as environmental impact assessment, planting plan, and slope stability. So,
Thank you. Mr. Graham, no concerns for planning, as I understand it?
That's correct. After the applicant submitted the updated materials, planning has had a chance to review everything and we have no concerns.
Thank you. In that case, I would ask for approval of the application. All those in favor? The application's approved. Thank you.
thanks so much.
So that concludes our meeting for today. And we'll see everyone